Hello, and thanks for joining us on the New Life Show with Dr. Michael Leitman. Hello, Dr. Leitman. Hello, everyone. Hello, Yael Shada'el. Hello. Today we'd like to talk to Dr. Leitman about hate and love and the connection between these two emotions that have such a strong influence over us. We'd like to understand, what does it come to teach us on our way to a better life? Be with us, Yael, please. Yeah, many approaches say that hate and love aren't just two separate feelings, but that we actually relate to practically everything in life with both of these feelings, and both of them are really intermingled. There are such approaches that say that they're melted into each other like steel, different kinds of steel. And it's really hard to find that thin line between hate and love. And I wanted to ask, what's the relation between hate and love? What is that thin line between hate and love? I don't think that it's a thin line. I think that the connection between hate and love is a very, very massive kind of connection, very big. It's a connection that all of nature is based upon, is founded on. It's the ego. It's the desire to exist, to enjoy, to multiply, to live, and to put oneself in the highest, safest, fullest position in life. And the ego, it develops in us toward all those things that seem to us good, healthy, right. An emotion of love, meaning to pull them, or to the contrary, things that as if are harmful to us, to push them away. So how could it be that we can both love and hate the same person? It's not the same person. It's several people in the same person, that this I love, and this I hate. So when I look at a person, I really divide them. You look at your child, right? He's so sweet, so nice, right? And suddenly you're ready to yell at him and... Right, sometimes there are such things. It's not such things. Everyone's included of many such images, personas. So am I, so are you. I can also be calm and good-hearted, and at times it could be really bad. You don't know me yet, then I'm telling you that? Yes. Watch it, right? Okay. But everything's based on the ego. Meaning, both in respect to the good, in respect to the bad, in all directions. My ego is directing me. Now the question is, can I treat the ego itself? Not its phenomena. This is the question. Okay, going back a second about the personas. You said that the fact that at a given moment I can love someone and the next moment really hate them, that it's fine. Because I actually see a few personas in that person that when I hate, when I love. But the problem is, suppose I see in Yael a persona that I love and a persona that I hate, but eventually Yael, at a given moment, she's just one person standing in front of me that I relate to either with hate or with love. I understand that there are two personas in her, but if you ask me at a given moment, oh, and what do you feel now? So say what you feel. Either hate or love, right? Or something in between, suppose. So it doesn't help me that you told me that she has several personas inside of her. In front of me, there's just one person. Okay, but it's not one person. It's a few people. It's several people. She's a woman, and she's a wife, and she's the mother of my children, and so on. Okay, but even in a relationship with the same person, there are certain behaviors about that person that you like, a certain character that you like, a certain one that you don't. I understand the idea, only what I don't understand is, in life, how can this very interesting concept serve me? Yael asked, what's the connection? What's the relation between hate and love? You said, it's not a thin line. There's a massive connection between them that the whole of reality is based on. Right? The whole of reality. The whole of reality is the egoistic desire to receive pleasure. And then, the different phenomena that makes him feel good, he likes, and that don't make him feel good, he hates. Where's the connection between them? It's a kind of animal called the will to receive pleasure, a monster, like sitting in the corner. What it enjoys, it loves. What it doesn't, like anyone else. There's a lion sitting there. Let him eat a piece of meat. He likes it. Give him a carrot. He hates it. He rejects it. That's it. This feeling, these emotions, are they interconnected? In order to love, do I have to feel hate and vice versa? There is such a thing, yes. Can you explain a bit the connection between hate and love? Can they exist in and of themselves, or they always have to be a kind of couple? They always have to be one opposite the other, and to develop one upon the other. It's called two lines, out of which I build the middle line that consists of both, where both the good things and the bad things, I reach a state where I love them both. Why do they have to develop one upon the other? Because we always develop our attitude toward whatever it is, both in love and also in hate. I both like it and also don't like it. So there's no pure feeling of hate in life and no pure feeling of love in life. No, unless habit becomes a second nature, and then we get used to things. If I'm with a certain person, out of my desire to all in all receive pleasure, I stop saying negative things in that person because one way or another I can't erase them. And then I try to erase my negative impression of those things. In order to feel good with that person, I have no choice. They're next to me. Either get divorced or agree with it. So that eventually I'll feel good about myself. This is the bottom line. Yeah, that's how the ego works. But this is on the egoistic level of this world. Okay. They always come together. Which comes first? Which has to appear first in order for the other to also appear, or how does it work regarding hate and love? Hate, of course, first. Hate. If I'm next to someone, then first of all, I'm very sensitive to whatever is not to my liking. So this is, first of all, what a person perceives. But in order to start feeling what's not to my liking, I have to have some kind of interest, some kind of attitude toward that person, some desire to come closer. Then there's already some measure of love here, that I want to enjoy that person. And then when I come and I want to enjoy that person, I start feeling that this isn't that great, that isn't that great, or that I erase all of these things. My only interest is to derive immediate pleasure. This place where there's both love and hate. I want to ask about the hate out of which later develops love. You're saying that there's this sensitive place inside of me that constantly identifies these things that make me feel bad. I'm really sensitive to it, and that thing makes me feel bad. But we know that out of hate, sometimes love emerges. How does that happen? For what reason? I don't know. It happens many times that we simply hate someone and suddenly everything turns upside down. So it's not because of that person, but it's because of you. something happens inside of you. Your inner program suddenly changes, and you're impressed with it. You become wiser, and so, from this point on, you like a certain quality about that person that previously you didn't appreciate. Was I looking for this good? How did this good suddenly appear? You were looking for something, and suddenly you see that it exists in that person. How does this flip happen, this surprise? You found something about that person that's to your liking. Can I look for good things in this place of hate at all? That's the best thing. If you can really look only for good things and skip over the bad things. This means that you're going for compromises with yourself, and that's the most certain way to achieve good relations. So it's a good thing to search for what's good about the other person inside myself. Right? That's called making concessions, and these concessions lead to habit and love. And in the opposite scenario, we know this from relationships, from work, that everything was fine, everything was great, and suddenly, and sometimes you don't even need a really big reason for it. Suddenly, something inside of you changes and you can't stand the other side. Right? How does that transition happen? Your ego grew. We're not in a constant fixed state all the time, both in terms of the extent of the demand of our ego and also in different other forms. And therefore it changes all the time. Our relations are changing all the time. I have to work on this on a daily basis. Daily. I look at that person that I live with and I have to correct my relations with him on a daily basis. Before I go for the correction of the relations, my ego grew, and then what? Suddenly I want more from that person. Of course, you have new demands, both in quality and also in quantity. So no matter how okay that person was, it's completely unrelated to them. It's happening every moment, only we have to understand this and agree that this is how it is, that this is the law of nature, called development or evolution, and correspondingly, we have to make corrections. Why are we always so surprised that hate turns into love or vice versa? Because it's not under our control and therefore we're impressed by it. It influences, affects us. It seems like there's a stage. On it, there's this actor called Love. And suddenly you have no idea. How did he get off stage? Instead of him, there's a different character. Now you have no idea where did he come from, and the entire act changes. And, these are very strong emotions. True, you should relate all of these things only to yourself. You have to relate all these things only to yourself and to no one else, and to understand that only through concessions will you be able to arrange these things to your benefit. So what can a person really do? We all the time said the following, that there are constant inner changes inside the person, right? And the ego is growing all the time, so my demands are changing too. If something satisfied me for a certain period, no more, I have new demands. And in this entire state, I want to have a good relationship with the other side. So what does a person have to do in order to have a good relationship in this reality that we live in, that you just described? What's the work? Concessions. I said it several times. How do you concede? How? Even if I can't see the other as someone good, all those things in the other that I don't yet see as good things, that I can't overcome them and see them as good things, I concede them. I as if erase them, and then this doesn't exist and that doesn't exist, I leave only the good things. How can a person do that? You tell me, you're the psychologist. This is how it's supposed to be. This is what we have to teach people. And from the perspective of the wisdom of Kabbalah, because we're coming to you as someone who really understands the wisdom of Kabbalah. Well, these are corrections on a completely different level. Meaning what? In the wisdom of Kabbalah, I don't try to hide myself or hide who the other is, but I'm working on my will to receive, on my ego. But you can also say, as a psychologist, I work on a person's ego, and I say that better do this or that. True, but I'm working on a person's ego, not me, but the person himself does. And I only guide him from the side. And in order to change his ego, to take care of his ego, he needs another factor, an external factor, which is the so-called upper light, or the creator, the upper force, for him to correct his nature, man's nature, and then man will see that the world's good. Okay, the ego still growing, meaning my reality doesn't change. The ego is growing, I'm also changing on the inside all the time. How do I build a good relationship within all this? Not within this, but above it. What does it mean above it? You want to rise above your ego, and there to build yourself and your good relations with someone else. So what do I do about my ego? You cover it. As it says, love covers for all crimes. It's a completely different kind of attitude. It's not love that comes in state of hate, but it's love that covers the hate. It's like a sandwich. And this is how you exist. I don't mind that beneath there's hate. In my original nature, I hate everyone. I want to control everyone. I don't see anything good about the other. Nothing. The other is 100% bad. This is how I see them. Why? Because I look at the whole of reality through my ego, and then I don't see anything good about anything in reality. In anyone. Because what does the ego see actually? I rule out the entire world. This is the nature of the ego? Yes, this is our nature. But I cover it with love. Meaning, despite this, I want to receive the upper force, for it to help me, for it to develop in me the force of love, for all the different forms of nature that I see, upon the hate. What's the difference between that force of love that you talked about and the love that we're familiar with from our day-to-day life? Because we're not bringing love instead of hate, and then suddenly hate pops up again instead of love. But we live with both of these forces together, with the nature that the Creator has created, our will to receive, our ego, and the nature that we have received from Him, the will to bestow, so both with the hate and with the love. And therefore, I don't suddenly have surprises that I go back to hate. I love in a calm, direct way. So you covered everything with love, meaning that you're living with the love, but beneath the surface there's this hate bubbling. Not still, but more and more hate, and I cover it with more and more love, and I live with both. And how do you relate to that hate that's down beneath all the time? Because if I won't have hate, I won't have love. What's the connection? It's impossible to explain. There are none as wise as the experienced. But this is the only way that we can reach balance. I have an example from life, if you can explain it a bit. Maybe it's kind of the same. When two people, there is a short-term connection between them. At first it's a good connection, then you're disappointed with that connection, so there's a small hate created. There was a small love, now there's a small hate. After some time, you forget and you continue. If there's a very good connection, a long-term relationship, whether it's with another person or at work, and then there's a big disappointment, so all that quantity of love that we've discovered, revealed already, turns into hate later. So the quantity of love turns into hate, and you're describing the opposite. There has to be additional love that covers the hate, and both of them have to be like a sandwich. But in terms of quantity, we can't compare this, meaning the more hate there is beneath the surface, the more love there will be on the surface. Yes. So if I want to increase my love, according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, I have to increase the hate. Very good. And therefore, our will to receive, egoistic will to receive, is constantly growing. How is it always so opposite to how we are? We lack the understanding. Very simple. It's simply, and therefore, we can't get along. In any of our relationships, starting with the simplest ones, if we continue with the path of concessions, the advice you gave us for our day-to-day life, if we take the path of concessions, no, this for the day-to-day life, this for psychologists. Okay, will this give us the same quality of relationships? No, not like in the wisdom of Kabbalah. It's in the meantime, in order to somehow bear the situation. You won't be able to concede all the time. How much can you concede? And it'll always be something that, there will always be something that breaches the balance, the concessions. So it's not really a solution for the problems in the relationships. The true solution is, I see. Previously you mentioned that people are used to exchanging hate for love, and then after some time it changes again. Always, because there's no completion here. It's not a correction. And so they're surprised every time when the hatred erupts anew. And therefore you said, here you recommend a different kind of attitude. Not to replace the hate with love because it's going to be temporary, but to cover the hate with love. Can you teach me how to do this? What does it mean? I have to understand that love doesn't exist in me, that it has to be a special force from above that you receive if you want to rise above the hate without any conditions on my part for doing it. I'm not going to love you now, meaning if I want to cover the hate with love, I'm not going to love you now in order to feel good as a result. I'm going to love you in order to complete the system of creation, in order to empower the force of love for it to control reality. And how does this happen? Because it sounds great. How do you do it? How do you cover? You ask for the force of love to come and rule. Rule whom? Myself. For it to rule, to control me. And how will I feel then? Then I'll feel that I love. And where's the hate? The hate will remain too. And love will cover the hate. And what do I feel in that place where love covers the hate? Only in that place where love covers hate, you'll feel both hate and love. And it's a pleasant feeling both together. It sounds like going back to where I am today. No, you'll start feeling creation. You'll start feeling that between these two, hate and love, there's the original force of nature that has created the whole of creation this way, in these two forces. And you're in between them. And you can actually control these two forces. You're on the same level as the upper force. So it's beyond hate and love. There's like a kind of... Any hate or love that we experience is only in order for us to get to know their neutral root. And that will also be that way. Where all the love and hate, they're just an opportunity, only a reason to reach Him. And there, in that upper force, there's no hate or love. And what does it mean to reach Him? I have no idea what... It's true that you have no idea, but you will. What does it mean to reach Him? The root of life, the root of the whole of reality, the meaning, the essence of life, where only through hate and love, by feeling both, can we get to know the upper force between them, the upper force of nature, that really is there, truly there, above all the hate, the love, above all calculations and feelings. You said that in this state a person can start controlling the hate and love. What does it mean to control or manage them? That he always wants, that he's always happy to get additional hate because it gives him an opportunity to demand love in order to cover the hate and to be in between the two, in adhesion with the upper force. So what is he happy about? About the revelation of evil, which is the extra hate. Yes, and it makes him happy. Why? Because he can demand extra good. If a person demands additional good, good is love? Yes. If he demands additional love without hate, how can he demand it? He has no drive to do it. So, any hate that's revealed, it's only in order to demand love. So, when I start feeling some kind of hate, which happens automatically in life, I cover it with love. It grows, I cover it with even more love. And you're saying that this entire process isn't in order for me to get to know the love and hate, but for me to reach the recognition of a certain reality, the recognition of that managing root, or I don't exactly remember how you called it. This is what we have to get to know, and this is why, to begin with, we work with the hate and love. That it's only a means. Right. But our life is in between the two. Dr. Leitman, thank you very much. Thank you, Yael. Thank you for being with us. Till next time, all the best.